Yo, 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 welcome back to the Further Your Lifestyle podcast, conversations on lifestyle, passions, and hustles. My name's Chris Furlong and I am your host, and I am so thrilled and so excited to introduce to you our guest today, Ponnara. Now, what I love about May so much is that she has such a hustle and such a drive, and she's a very hardworking individual. What we do talk about is, yes, who she is, her journey, and how she has created a lifestyle for herself around building a business as a digital marketer and website developer. Now, outside of all that, she's a runner and she's doing a lot of amazing things. But coming back to what I really like about her so much is how she approaches everything with kindness. And that's what this episode's all about: doing life, doing business, and creating a journey and creating a lifestyle, but with kindness. And she tries to bring that into her business. She tries to bring that in all that she's doing. And it's very evident in her personality and just the way she goes about doing things. Now, it's been really great being able to follow her journey so far. Her business called The Kind Design, coming back to that kindness piece. And, you know, we have a really good chat in this one, and we do go through a lot. We talk about her journey and her business and day in the life and processes and all that jazz. So if this is something that sounds like that you're interested in, then grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, whatever floats your boat, however you like to listen to a podcast, and let's get into it. Of course, we are on Spotify, we are on YouTube, we're also on Apple Podcasts. So whichever one you want to listen to, or maybe you want to go jump over there later, please do that. Would really appreciate it, especially if you jump over to the YouTube and give us a thumbs up, give us a comment, and let us know what you thought about this episode. All right, let's get straight into it. Welcome, May. Welcome to the Further Your Lifestyle podcast. It's so good to finally have you here. I'm excited to have you here. It's been a long time coming. And how are you going today?
Yeah, pretty good. Very good day outside. And I'm very excited to be here, and thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. I've been following your journey for a very, very long time. And, you know, we've actually been in the same circles of people for a very long time as well here in Melbourne, and with the running and just, you know, kind of with the same mindsets and understandings. But let's hear a bit about yourself and, you know, maybe just a nutshell of your background, who you are, what you're all about, so the listeners can hear it from you.
Yeah, of course. My name is May, and I originally from Thailand and been living in Melbourne for I think this year 9 years now, and it's been very good. I love Melbourne, and I came here just by myself. And when you want to make a change in life at some point, so I actually decided, all right, I'm gonna move to Australia, and I did suddenly. So I came here with my friends, a couple of friends as well, and then I study a Bachelor of Business, and I graduated in 2009, not 19, 16, of course, 16, and worked full-time couple of years, and now doing another bachelor degrees in teaching as well. So it's been a very, very long journey in Melbourne, which is I really enjoying it. So pretty much, just general. And then I've been working in different role as well in different industry in Melbourne, from education industry to architectural hardware. And my background is very various, and my role is I came across with human resource marketing, a lot in marketing and digital marketing space as well, with and also have experience in like project management stuff. um it's been very interesting journey, so yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And I mean, the first thing I want to ask is, so why Melbourne? Was it for the coffee, for the wine, or just because it was ranked, the best place to live in the world a few times in a row? So yeah, why Melbourne?
To be honest, I didn't even know when I decided to say yes, because it was at the point. So at that time, let me look back to my story when I was actually working full time as PR marketing in just a company based in Bangkok. And it was the point that, you know what, I just want to make a change. And my friend was like, do you want to go to Australia? And I was like, why not? And then I suddenly make a progress and buy the ticket, and decided, where I actually didn't know how Melbourne looked like, and yeah, did not know anything, didn't have any much friend, like, yeah. So it was really, I wouldn't say risk, it was a risk, but it was the um what what can I say, it's like a surprise journey that I
Yeah.
actually didn't plan anything, and it went really well actually.
Yeah, well, I mean that's great, and kudos for doing it. I loved how you said why not, right? You when your friend asks you, and it's kind of like that kind of sums it up, right? I mean, when we give these when we're given these opportunities, and you don't really have anything to say no against, or that it doesn't, there's nothing stopping you. It's kind of like, well, yeah, I guess why not, right? And to be able to step away from everything that you've known, and then to have that big change, it's no easy feat, right? So kudos for doing that, and then to come over here other than with your friends, but by yourself with no family and things, that's scary. And I think that has probably been a big part of what's enabled you to get to where you are today, because you've had to be self-reliant and self-independent, and I think that shows in all the work that you do. So yeah, kudos for doing that. I think that's really good.
Appreciate it, thank you. Yeah, thank you. It's been very fun part as well, like, I've been, I would say for the first 2 years when I got here, I actually still lost because, I didn't have family here, and I was actually like try to find my way to doing life. But after 3 or 4 years, I got used to all the things. I start making friends online, start making friends outside, going out more. And now everyone just become my family really in Melbourne. And I actually really loving it. So
You're welcome. No, I mean, and that's good. I mean, Melbourne does.
you are one of, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I've been
You
in
are part
Melbourne
of
my
that. Yeah.
entire life, so I mean, not in Melbourne, the heart of Melbourne, but always around Melbourne, and it brings a great, good range and broad of lifestyles and opportunities to everyone. We do really have a lot of, to be honest, there's a lot of, I guess, non-local Australians that are here now, and it's really diverse and dynamic. So yeah, it's good to have you part of that. So you've done a lot over the years, as you mentioned. You've got a big background in a lot of different areas, especially around the business and marketing. And I think that's that can be a bit of a saturated word. It's like I studied business. So it's like, okay, so everyone. I feel like a lot of these days, a lot of people's like, oh yeah, I've done business, or I've done a bit of that, but I guess if we jump ahead, you touched on that. You did some marketing jobs, you did some PR jobs. But at the end of the day, the one thing that has stood out and why I wanted you to be onto the podcast is because you work for yourself, and you have gone for a journey to get there. And maybe we can touch on very quickly on like why work for yourself versus taking the normal.
Last couple of years when I work in the corporate still, I was enjoying it. I love um to connect with, my colleague, but there was the point, one day you just woke up and you feel really lost. And I had that feeling, I would say, in a while, in last couple of year. And then I actually just start asking myself really hard, where I'm like, what I actually want. Is this my career? Do I actually enjoying it? Um, and there was the point that I faced with depression and anxiety as well with my personal stuff. And there was the really hard hit for me where I just need to decide what I actually want to do, because I could not keep doing that anymore. And yeah, so I decided to just, I'm gonna quit this job and see how it takes. So I decided to move back to Thailand a couple of months and try to get a job again. And because of I've been here, I had been here for probably at that time for 6 years. And I when I got back to Thailand, I was actually a little bit like confused as well. And I actually, decided to move back here again. And that's how I start to actually realize that, all right, I actually don't want to work in the, the same environment anymore. And I actually have this passion to connect with people. I love doing some event stuff to networking and start doing some, personal development a lot. And that's how it's become clearer for what I want to do. So I actually start juggling with online business stuff since 2019. I failed twice, to be honest, and I launched the an e-commerce platform as well, and it did not go well because without much experience, I would say, and that happened. It was fine. And last year, how it hit again, and I was spent like probably 6-7 months just did some research what I want to do, connect with people a lot online, and um, it's really helped me to actually realize that this is actually I really want to do for myself. And with my experience and that I have marketing stuff, and I always want to take that part with me, and helping others people as well, where kind of like, oh, I have experience in digital marketing and what I actually can help people help with business. So that's why I pick web design, because I actually enjoying it. So probably I need to tell a little bit of a story about how the car design come up. Actually, I think it's come to the point where I telling my story.
One thing I wanted to just kind of highlight there and just play it back to you is it sounds like, you've got a very good self-awareness aspect to yourself. And whether you know it or not is what I think is very interesting and key for the listeners is that, you've made some real big drastic changes in your life. You've gone from a different country to another country, and you've worked, and then you've quit job and tried to work for yourself, and you shuffled around, and in all that you keep saying that something didn't feel right, that you wanted change, and if anything you were restless. And for someone, I think there really is those two types of people in the world: the people that they keep moving and jumping until they find where they fit, versus some people they don't, because they're too scared of the change, they're too scared of the risks, or oh, but what if it doesn't pan out, or what am I going to do? And for someone that you've done it a fair bit, and you've moved around, and not just in location but with jobs, and now for yourself, and you've admitted that you've failed a few times with different things that you've started, that's no easy feat. So once again, kudos to that, because everything that you've done, everything that you've done in the past up to this point has enabled you to get to where you are. And that's super important for your journey, and in what you're all about, because it's not just from a personal development but also from your professional development as well. So I think that's really good, and that's a great strength, or key characteristic that you have to be able to do that. So that's really cool.
Thank you. And I think like before COVID, I was still juggling and try to shifting my mindset. But after COVID, I would say, I kind of like take advantage of any opportunity that come to me every day, and kind of like, all right, I have a chance to do this today. What can I get out of that? So I think for most of us miss that thing where kind of like, you know, you just need to appreciate every single thing that coming, especially opportunity. Who are you around with? What the environment around? What is your vibe, and how that make you feel? And that's gathering everything all together and see opportunity, how you can rise, you can grow up from that. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And you even touched on
Yeah.
about, you kept asking yourself, well, maybe you didn't say it explicitly, but it all seemed to come back to, why are you doing this, or what were you doing it for? And it sounds like that's been a really big key, element or line within your life, because it usually takes us to have a life-changing moment for us to realize, why am I doing this? Especially, we can use COVID as an example because that's just recent, but usually people make that big drastic change when there's a death in the family, or a near death experience, or all of a sudden their job, you've been let go, and that forces the change, or to them to question. But it sounds like, and you may have had different things that have driven them, but it sounds like that you've always had that, what is my why in the back of your mind, which is enabling you to take the next opportunity, or look at the opportunities and where can you take action. So yeah, that's a really cool element to have. So yeah. Well, with that, then I guess, as you kind of alluded to, then your current business is the Kind Design. So step forward, and I know we've touched on this a bit, but so I guess, the kind design, what is it? What is it all about? And what are you all about with that? And then I know that your tagline is about your approach. You want to do everything with creating and with kindness. So, where does that maybe come from, and touch on that?
From the story that I was mentioned, that our marketing experience and project management and business stuff that I have. So I am bringing everything into this space where I just pick the Kai design as a service, web design service. So I'm a web designer, and also I actually help business with digital marketing as well, social media and public relation. It depends what kind of the business that what type of service that they need, but more likely focusing on website design, website development. So my aim is to bring kindness into the business world, to the business space, to I actually believe that kindness is the key of building trust for everyone, for friendship, for everyone, really. And from my experience working in corporate, it was great. But when people working in the job and they actually forgot to being kind to each other, forgot to being kind to ourselves, really. And I would like to bring this word as awareness, to spread out more kindness into my space. And yes, so pretty much I'm just aiming to help a small business or freelancers or side hustler if they want to start the business or something that different. I actually really look into the new marketing campaign as well. How can I like help the a new graduate to look into like the building that soft skill as well. So if that makes sense. And I think that kindness will always push us further, where kind of like, when you're being kind to someone, you have the positive vibe to kind of like just put you next to the next level. Like for example, when I help the clients, and when they say, oh, I need help something that, and I use the kindness as like, oh, I can help with that. Just use the help as a kindness offering. And I think it's been good, but I just start for it. It's just the fourth month really, and I actually really, really enjoying it. It's a lot of to learn still, but I I would say I come far away. Actually, last night I had group mentor. We have like accountability group every 3 months in my community. It's like women support women. It's called She Mentors, and it's incredible women support each other. We kind of like, oh, what did you reach your goal after 2 months? And I said out loud, and I was like, oh, I did that, I started doing that, and I actually did not realize at how far that I've come. And it's been good, really good, to be honest. But I would say there's so much thing that I need to learn and to fail and to experience it, I guess. So I hope that all makes sense.
There's a lot there, and thank you for sharing that. And it's, look, you come across as a very kind person, so I think that's very evident. But I think the big question probably that I would ask you is, so yes, I think there's a really big difference that you can bring to your clientele, bringing that kind approach, or that kindness element. Because you're right, in the current work environment, we can sometimes, myself included, we can get so fixated on the outcome we're trying to achieve, that the people that are along the way, they're not necessarily the people we care about, because we're so focused on the result or the outcome, or where we're trying to get. And it's such a busy world. And I think that probably came even more evident last year, when we were still challenged with all the different priorities in our lives, because we were all thrown upside down. But so with that, being kind to your stakeholders, to your clients, and whatnot, that's great. So how do you ensure that you're being kind to yourself, to ensure that you can bring that kindness to others? Because that's probably going to be the key part to enable you to then give it out, right? Before we can love someone else, we need to love ourselves. Is there anything there that you try and focus on. And as you said, you did all those, you went through your mentorship and you were able to share some of the goals, and you hadn't realized maybe all the things you had achieved, which, does play back to that, being kind to yourself and reflecting and giving yourself that pat on the back. Yeah.
That's really good question, because that one, another reason that you actually just brought up right now, to being kind to ourselves is the most important thing before help others. So since I started doing my business, I actually put myself first and more. And I always ask myself, how do I feel today? What do I want to do? Do I stay balanced every day? What is the area that I need to improve this week? For example, am I exercise enough this week? Do I have enough sleep? And if I'm staying in balance and kind of like, because I'm working in the creative space as well, without that balancing, I actually easily burnt out. And it happened to me many times, to be honest. But when I open my website, look into my social media, oh, this is my brand, and look, reflecting that brand to myself as well, where kind of like, am I being kind to myself first before I offering a kindness to others? So yeah, I actually been doing that good, I would say. And I kind of like, I sometimes remind my friends around as well, and always checking out my friends around, if are they being kind to yourself as well. And I also want to adding up this topic, because one of the reason I picked the kind design as a kindness, it's because of my grandmother. So she's when she's passed away like 5 years now. And she was always being kind to like her neighbors, always give her food, always very, very generous. And I told myself, before I actually decided to do a business, like what the brand should be, how do I feel, and again, kindness, that will remind me to my grandmother as well. So there's a lot of reason why I'm behind the brand and the meaning of the brands. And I actually loving it, because the more people ask me like, why is the kind design, why is kindness? Or a couple of weeks ago, I got a DM on Instagram, asked me like, I'm just really curious, what kind of the design, what type of the design, it's very unclear. And I was like, thank you so much for asking me that, and it gave me opportunity to explain the meaning of the brand, what's behind the brand name. And I actually really liking it like right now. So that's reason why the kind design is.
I think that's really, really good. And I can put my hand up and say, even before we were connected and actually started talking on one-on-one, that's what stood out to me with the brand that you had created, even before you had created the kind design, is the way you go about sharing your day in the life. You are always tackling on the highs and the lows. Probably actually you're showing more of the reality, not necessarily that it's a low reality, but it's the reality of anything that we're going through. And it's, you juggling this, your exercise, your meditation, your mental space, but then juggling also you're trying to achieve this, or you're growing a business or building a business. And I think if anyone hasn't checked out your Instagram on the kind design, to go check it out, because you share that journey. And I think that in itself is what speaks louder, because at the end of the day, your brand isn't about the website design. I mean, yes, that's what you're selling, that's the service you're bringing, but you are the brand, you are the face of the brand, and everything that you do will kind of trickle into that. So being able to show who you are to your client or potential customers is going to go that little step further, because people aren't just buying the service or product you're delivering, they're buying you, or a piece of you, or a part of you, or a time of you.
Exactly.
So I think
Yeah.
you've hit the nail on the head with that, because it is very evident to myself. Now, obviously, for anyone listening, I haven't done any work with you, so I can't speak from that side, but from the content that you bring and what you share, I think it's very evident. And it's relatable and it resonated with me. And I think that's so awesome that, someone has asked you about, why the kind design, or where's the kindness, or because it brings that curiosity element, right? And then when someone, it's kind of almost like you've sucked them in, and then you can give them that, that hook, and say, well,
Yeah.
this is what I can do for you
Yeah.
and why it's going to be different. So I think what you've created there, and I know you've spent a lot of time on building that, and you still are, that's really, really good. And it's starting to speak for itself. So yeah, good job.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Chris. Thank you so
You're
much.
so welcome. Well, I think, you've answered some really good things there, and which kind of segues into, yes, you're a website designer, digital marketer, and helping people basically build out that. And you mentioned, whether it's helping grads or actual people in their one pages, or, actually building out their websites. But let's touch on a bit more of, the business itself, right? So, we kind of mentioned around that you are sharing the highs and the lows, and that. But
Yeah.
I mean, what does a day in the life even look like for, let's say, a website
Yeah.
designer, or someone building their business that is for website design?
Yes. So, I mean, for me, as I mentioned before, I've been doing a second degrees in teaching as well. So my day in life is quite a lot of things juggling around. Where sometimes I work at school as well. I'm a teaching assistant where I just jump in the classroom and help with the kids. But more likely, get up, do some my morning routine, which is meditation first, a cup of tea, and stretch my body, and journaling as well. So that's that's four things that I need to do every single morning. I could miss at some weekend when I, just want to party. That's just normal.
Yeah, that's human.
Anyway, so and um I have the system where I actually put everything in my phone and do some time blocking where, for example, like tomorrow 9 to 10, I need to do some article writing, or I need to contact with subcontract or things like that. So I pretty much time blocking my task. And also I fit my running training for marathon in as well later, or during the day. Sometimes it depends what week look like, so I plan out my week probably 2 weeks ahead and see what I can, put stuff in. Sometimes I do some mentoring as well, and I going out networking a lot, probably 2 or 3 times a week sometimes. And but at the end of the day, I always make sure that I feel good. If I have the feeling like, oh, this is just too tight. For example, last couple of days I was really tired, and kind of like, this weekend I'm gonna spend my time, me time, and meditate more, and kind of like energize myself with all the positive, read a book. So I've kind of like, making a plan and fit that into my daily life, daily schedule for the next week, 2 weeks or so. Like as well, if something come up during the day, and I'm very, very flexible person, and I just love doing what I do right now. Like love catching up with friends if I want to, as well. But one thing that I'm not sure if that my strength or my weakness. I really love being on time, and I really frustrated or like hate a person that always late without giving me a notice. It just, my thing is like, I always on time, or like I need to be, if for example, like I need to be in front of my desk at this time, and if I even late myself, and kind of like get angry even with myself. So, and that's just come up when I start my business, really, because I've been behind on my tasks, and that's reason why, because sometimes I just like postponing my calendar and things like that.
There's lots there, right? And I know you're all about processes and systems, and you have your ways of working. And what you've touched on there, I think it's good, because a lot of the people that I do speak to, they all have their ways of doing things, whether it's a special routine or some of them, they don't need to have things jotted down in a certain way. They just know where they are and what they need to do. And everyone works differently. And it's funny that you say around, being on time, or even for yourself, and that comes back to self-discipline. It also comes down to your motivation, and it can be a way to enable us to grow and make sure things are happening, right? And I guess, you've
Yeah.
touched on a lot about the stuff that you're doing from a back end. And, you mentioned that you're about 4 or 5 months into the business at this point in time. So you're really in the early days of, you've just kind of just planted the seed, and now you're doing a bit of the watering, and you're prepping the groundwork for, what's to come in the long time, to ensure that it's going to flourish and blossom and bloom. But with that in mind, so you're doing a lot of that back end and building out the brand and building and creating those processes and structures. So when you mentioned that, if other things come up, you can adjust, you can flex. And there's kind of two things that I want to touch on here. There's, I guess, taking a step back, going into the leap of working for yourself, coming out of, the world where things are given to you and you are following someone else's processes and guidelines, or, routines or whatever, and then you're having to do it yourself. How did you go into that? Where was it a big change, or were you able to just, continue on or make it even better because finally you were in control?
That's a very good question. Thank you for that. And I think it was really hard at the start because it's pretty much changed your lifestyle, really. It's changed the way you think to your life, your habit as well. It's took me a while to get back, um, get to where I am now, where kind of like, oh, I need to control myself really hard sometime. Where, for example, like yesterday, I'm being honest here. If, you know, yesterday I got home, I have this schedule, I have to do that. But at the end of the day, I got really, really tired. And I said to myself, like, look, you know what? This is my company, this is my business, and this is my life. I probably stop doing this, and then it's okay to postpone my task, and it will be fine. And it's just that kind of thing. Whereas if I follow to someone, instruction, they probably like, no, you cannot stop. You just need to do that. So it's just kind of like, it's very, what's the word? Say like flexible, or there's the word in there.
Well,
Yeah.
there's
So
balance.
anyway,
There's a
it's
lifestyle balance, a work-life
a
balance.
balance, a lifestyle. Yeah, that's the word. And I kind of like, I'm really used to it now, where I at the moment I have another contract that I need to go in, work in a company, and I kind of like, to be honest, it's very hard to get back to the side of the lifestyle where I gotta get up, get on a train, go to work, and go home. It's kind of like, I wasn't sure if I'm still not sure if I'm still fit in that the type of the work, where I kind of like nowadays get up, um, turn on my laptop, sit on a bed, start typing, start writing email in my bed. But I would say nothing is right or wrong. It depends how you like it. But for me, I prefer this lifestyle where they provide me a freedom, which is I always want of freedom every day. It's like, this is my thing. I want to do this. If I can fit anything in around me, which is fine. If I want to rest if I want to. I want to do that and to do that. It's just me that I actually really enjoying it. So yeah, it's just a freedom lifestyle that I have that's come with this business, and I just love it. So
Yep. No, that's really good because, a lot of the time when, people, I mean, that's the reason why a lot of people do take that jump, is for that lifestyle change. And I also
yeah,
know that sometimes there's the reality versus expectation, which doesn't always work out the way you thought it would be. And, for you going into
yeah,
that transition and then building a business, that can be, it's quite scary. And I can speak on the same sense of that. But the
yeah,
next part of that I wanted to kind of ask is because, at the moment you're in control, you can set the boundaries, you can set the limits, and, you set the day. But then now that you're starting to onboard clients, you're getting back to that world where the client is starting to then, dictate when they need things and stuff. So then how do you then juggle that into the world where you once had control of? And what has that element been like? Because that's when it gets interesting again, because it's then, setting that expectation or managing their expectations.
To be honest, I'm still practice my resilience about getting client on board, which is I would say 70 or 80% of them are still very early in business and they're always busy, where sometime I need to get meeting at 8 p.m. at night because of their kids, because of after works. And that happened a lot, where I have to submit my project and it took 2 weeks to approve because they're not available. So things like that happened, and I still practice my kindness, I would say, and kind. It's actually good for me to what's the word say again, to testing me my what's it called, like calm, not calmness, what's the word, what's wrong with me today?
Well, so you're it's
Patient,
yeah, yeah.
that's the word. Yeah, so that's the thing. So I kind of like, everything is good and bad. So running your own business is great, but it's not always the best. You just need to deal with whatever it come, and that is a soft skill that's coming every day. Probably, oh, I didn't even know that I have this skill until I deal with these clients. So, and again, like every client come in and they teach me and they're reflecting everything to me as well, where I kind of like, is this client will fit into my time? Am I be able to serve them what I want, or maybe not? And I kind of like, I just need to let that client go because that not suit me. And when things that happen, and first, or I'm still feel like bad about it. I mean, I always want to help everyone, obviously. And now I kind of like, I got told from my mentor, I was like, you just need to practice your ability to accept and to learn what you learn from them when they come to you, and you can't take that project and what you're going to deal with the late notice with the uncertainty thing. And I'm just learning every day, really. And with uncertainty again, I think COVID teach us a lot last year, of course. And everything is uncertain, really. Nothing is permanent in this world, I guess. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, and I think
So
I think you've summed it up really, really well, because and you said that it's not easy, right? And I think a lot of people, they go into this world of creating something that they control, and which you get to, but it's not easy. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, and we can both appreciate that. And I think that's really cool, or a really key part that you mentioned around that you get to choose your client, or you get to say no, or you can then set that boundary. And I know that's easier said than done, and you mentioned that you're still getting into that rhythm, and learning how to say no or adjust to that, because yes, being kind and wanting to help everyone, that could become as a bit of a challenge, or a bit of an oxymoron to what you're even trying to achieve. But I think that's something which comes with the growth of the business, because you'll get into a situation where you realize, this is the one I probably shouldn't have done, but you can, you then realize, and then next time that, okay, if it's a situation like this, or they're demanding, or it's not in aligned to what you're trying to achieve from a business perspective and the branding perspective and your lifestyle, then you can say no, because it's no harm done, right?
yeah,
And that's really great to be able to, and that's why I really wanted to touch on it, because a lot of the time people don't hear this, they don't see that. All they're seeing is an Instagram highlight, or someone's journey, or they're seeing I made $4,000 this month, or whatever it is. But there's a huge journey to get to that point. And what's really cool is you're at that starting point. So to be able to then follow along, and see you continue to thrive and pivot and build and adjust along the way, which I'm
yeah.
sure you will, that's really good. But it sounds like at least you have the mentality mindset around the steps you need to
Yeah,
take or the things you need to be mindful of. And then it's more about putting them into practice, applying them, and learning
yeah,
to fail fast, right? And I think that you
yeah,
mentioned that a bit
yeah.
as well. So yeah, it's well, I mean, there's a lot there. So thank you
Yeah,
for sharing that.
it's yeah, no worries. It's a lot, and I would say like if you are listening right now, you want to build your own business. All right, it's of course that you are the CEO, you are owning business, but behind the scene, like I no one chose how bad it is waking up in the middle of the night and you cannot sleep. You got insomnia, you got depression, anxiety. That behind the scene where I show on my social sometimes, and sometimes people don't know that much. People expect the result, of course, but I would say if you've decided to start your own journey, that you first thing that you might need to think that if you also need to enjoy every single process since you start as well. So you just need to practice your resilience, your mindset really, and you just need to learn how to believe in yourself. That's the first thing. You just start a business and you don't have credibility of on your skills, so you don't have that credit yet. But what you can do is just carry yourself on, and with the confidence that you have, you just need to play the game like pretending that you already in CEO. That's role and what you are going to act if you be the actual CEO. So, you already have what you have right now, and what you need to do is just practice the believe in yourself and everything, I would say.
That's it. You just got to do it, right? And it's probably maybe not the answer people are looking for. People probably want to here's like, oh, what's the quick way to get through this? But it is the only way through is through, and to experience it all. And thank you for sharing that, because that is the honest truth and reality of it. And
Yes, yes.
in the longer run, yes, 10 years, 15 years down the track, when someone said, how did you get there? It is that cliche answer of it's a lot of hard work. it's,
Yeah, it's like, like when you listen to podcasts, I'm like, oh, I've done $10 million, things like that. But how was the life at the first 4 months look like? Like of course they will tell, but um because I'm facing right now the first 4 months, I actually can say in like from my from my vibe and things, like I actually facing this issue. But first thing that you need is just your mindset and your positive energy. If you can build that at the start, it will keeping you going, further and further every day.
That's it. Wow. That's the wisdom and nuggets right there. So I mean, we've touched on a lot there, and I think we could probably spend so much time, but being mindful of time. And the next thing I wanted to kind of just quickly give you the chance to talk about is, so maybe what are some of your current goals or your focus areas at this point, whether it's you might not set your goals out as far, but whether it's for 2021 or just in general. And it could be about, it can be for the business, or it can be for your health, mindfulness, or whatever. It's kind of like, what can people hear from you around, what are you focusing on, and what are your goals currently at the moment?
Yeah. Yeah. So my goal is just staying balanced, really. I would say for the business perspective, I would like to scaling more, getting more clients in and getting more focusing on building the brand. Where personal, I'm focusing on staying balanced with my running journey. So I would like to keep my balance, every week, just keep training, keep running, and do some fitness and exercise regularly. That's the goal really for 2021. So not sure what the next couple of years look like, but I feel like if you just staying focused tomorrow for the next day for now, the next 2 years that will be likely positive.
Yeah, no, I think that that's a that's a
Result.
that's a
So
that's a good answer, because
yeah.
I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, you've probably got your bigger picture end game, where you want things to be. But
Mm,
sometimes, we get so focused on, let's say that, you wanted to hit $100,000, but sometimes we can get so focused
yeah.
upon that we're forgetting about the little things that will enable us to get there at a steady pace, right? And I know you can relate to,
Yeah.
you know, what it's like running a marathon or training for a marathon or a half marathon, is because, you know, there's a process. You know, it's not about going fast. It's about how long you can continue
Yeah.
to maintain that steady pace, right? To get there at that finish
Exactly.
time. And this is a
Yeah.
marathon. It's not a sprint. And I think having
Yeah.
that mentality helps a lot. It's a good unfair advantage for yourself. And I can say it's the same for me, is because you're playing the long game. You're knowing that what you're putting into place now, you know, the 20 weeks, or even if it takes 2 years in place, is going to enable you to have that smoother sailing down the line or on race day
Yeah.
in that sense. So no, I think
Yeah.
that's a perfect answer. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. No worries. Yes. That's pretty much just a general goal, really. So it can't actually, I mean, I have the very, very big dream and big goal. And that's always in my mind as well. But since COVID, like we never know what's gonna happen tomorrow, the next day, and next month. But I trying to focus, stay in present and help myself stay balanced and keep meditate and keep running every day and look after myself and others around me. That's it, I guess.
No, that's great. That's good. And that's all we need to hear. And hopefully I
Yeah.
think that will encourage others, because a lot of the time when we think about goals, it's like, oh, it's got to be this or really big. But those things that you've said are actually very, very hard to achieve. The balance piece, especially, right? To have that balance with life, with work, with friendships, with health, and all that. So
Yeah.
I think you're gonna have your hands full regardless.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the next thing then is what I like to call rapid fire questions, right? And just a few things, and you can dive into it, or you can answer just short and sharp, and we can leave it as that's
Yeah.
fine. So the first one
Yeah.
being, what's your favorite book you have read, or a book that you've read just recently?
I have a lot actually, but I actually pick one because I finished early this year. It's from Jim Kwik. If you know Jim Kwik, it's called Limitless.
Oh, yep.
It's about it's about how to learning how to stay focused and improve your memory and improve your brain capacity. So it's really good book. If anyone would like to give it a go, I recommend it. For me, I loved it because I think English is my second language, I would say, and I give that as an excuse to take me a lot of to learn about language. But it's not actually about language. It's about how your brain operate everything. So in the book they have like tips and tricks how to memorize everything, how to read faster, and how you write better. So that's my favorite book for this year so far, but I have a few in my bookshelf as well. If you want to hear more for the next time, I'll keep that.
I mean, look, we could go on and on for books, but I think that's really good, and I'll put this in the show notes for people to check it out. Now, I haven't read it myself. I have heard of it personally, but it's definitely one that I think I'll be adding to my wish list. And I'm more of a listener than a reader myself, but I think that's something that we can all leverage and use those things that you've mentioned that the book carries. So I would encourage anyone to go check it out, whether they're listening or reading.
Yeah.
The next question then is, if you had to list 3 strengths and 3 weaknesses, what would they be?
Mhm.
Of your own, yeah.
I'll start with my strength first. Then, so I would say I am very resilient, as you can tell from my story. So
Yep.
I'm very not I mean, didn't want to say easily to adapt with everything, but I've been practicing that for a while since I came here alone. Like, I have the ability to sit back and get up. When I fall, I get it back up very quick, and I would say that's my strength at the moment. And I love organizing stuff. So I'm not sure if I'm OCD, but on my desk needs to be in order.
And I know you
On
like to
my
color code your calendar, right?
I color code a calendar. Exactly. Everything needs to be clean. So I use that as my strength. And so for the weakness, for three things, I probably put it short in one. I would say my experience in business is my weakness. So I feel like I have a long way to go in this business journey, entrepreneurship journey, a lot of things that I have to learn, which is, every time I jump into any new space, new networking, I kind of like put myself very small, and my weakness is like, oh, I don't have any experience. But you know what? I just use this as I put the weakness turtle into my strength, really, to put myself out there and just keep learning, keep, connecting, keep, learning from others. So that's
Yeah.
my
No,
weakness and
I
my
think that's really good. And to say that out to other people, I think that speaks volumes, because, to come out and say you don't know it all and you are starting a journey, and though you have plenty of, education behind you, that's just it. Once you start to put it into application and start that journey, it is, you've gone through it. It's easier said than done, right? Like, there's a lot of hard work behind it. And, I think that's been the key element that you've shared along the way. So thank you for summing that up.
yeah.
The next one would be, three favorite things. It doesn't have to be three, but things that you like to do when it's your free time, or when resting.
Yeah. Running, of course. So I love running, as you know. I can't live without run. I mean, not more than a week. So I actually haven't been running for 4 days
Uh-oh.
because of the excuse that the weather is it's raining. But yeah, I love running, and I sometimes play golf
Oh,
as
okay.
well.
That's cool.
Yeah, I haven't been playing for 2 years, but yeah, I sometimes play golf as well. And yeah, so my hobby is pretty much um just enjoy with my friends, really.
Yep.
Going out with cafe, Friday night drinks, things like that. I call it hobby.
Yep.
It's just
That's good.
socializing, networking, and yeah, so pretty much. But yeah, running is main thing for me. And um yeah, I think that you know
Yep.
that.
Yeah. No, I do. I do. So if
So,
anyone doesn't know, yes, we're both runners in this. If you are runners and you are watching or listening, do let us know in the
yeah.
comments, because, reach out, because yeah, if you're part of the running crew.
Yeah, also if you are want to run with us, just yell out, send us a DM. And Melbourne Runners is pretty big group as well, and I really enjoy our friendship around. It's really good.
Yeah, and it does. It brings
Motivate.
so much to it. I mean, it's more than just running, right? I know we could go into around the mental side of things, obviously the physical side of things, but
Yeah.
it really is something which is, it's very important for me to be able to get out. And I feel the same. If I don't do it after a certain period of
Yeah.
time, I start going wild. It's it's not good. It's
Yeah.
kind of like an addiction.
Exactly. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. So the last rapid fire question then is our favorite quote.
Oh, before I start, I actually called my girlfriend and I asked her, I was like, what is your favorite quote? And she was like, I have a lot. No, I have a few in my journal. So I pick one here. It's it says the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams.
Is
Um,
that by anyone in particular, or is it something that you wrote?
it's from someone, but I actually don't have the
That's
name.
fine. I'll look it up and I'll put it in the show notes
It's,
for everyone.
yeah,
Yep.
you can look it up. Yeah, so I loved it because everything is just about the dream. If I know it could be it's just a dream, but I would say it's not just a dream, it's a goal. So once you set your goal, that is your dream, and that's how you have the how that's how you motivate yourself to do stuff.
Yeah, I think that's
And
really. I mean,
yeah, without goal, yeah, without goal, like we are running a marathon, so the goal is just running marathon, right? If without that, we just kind of like, oh, what's next things,
yeah,
what's next event, what's the next goal for a run? But it's the same thing in the same of life and business. I think I love setting the goal. um it just, yeah, so you just to believe in your goal and in your dreams.
that's it. And I think that really does. I mean, we're about to get into the summary of or the wrap up, but that really does summarize, what we've been talking about so well, because everything you've said, chipping away at things, chasing the goals or chasing the dreams and building something, and in that long-term mindset as well, because it doesn't come overnight. And you've got a long background or history in doing your study, working in different gigs, and now you are starting basically from scratch, to build that next journey. And it'll be interesting to see over the obviously by the end of the year and over the coming years, and to then reflect at the same period of it's taken you maybe 6 years to get to here to even start this, and then to see where it will be in 6 years time.
Yeah.
Because really, when you think about the amount of time that we spend working, we end up working maybe 40 years, from a cliche perspective, but 6-7 years isn't really a lot of time, like when
Yeah.
from that perspective. And then I know I would be doing the same when you get to that point in life, and you look back and you have the hindsight to think, it's like, oh wow, yeah, I remember I did this, then I did that, then there was this
Yeah.
phase, and you can
Yeah.
appreciate it. And I think hearing from you, it's been really, really great, because it does bring that fresh perspective and that early perspective of chasing those dreams or building a business, or whatever it may be, whether it's a passion or goal. And I know it's resonated really well with me, and that's why we're doing the podcast. But I really believe
Yeah.
that others would have taken away from this some of those key points, because the intent here is to enable people to take something away which is relevant for them. And I think you bring all those different elements together, just because you've come from a different country and you've moved to Australia with such a big change, and then you've tried to find your way, figure out what your why is, what your purpose and passion is, and then you finally found what that is, and you've built and spent a lot of time, and still are, in nurturing and creating that into what you want it to be for the longer period. And that in itself just shows that all things do take time. I mean, all great things do take time, and there is no shortcut. And so thank you so much. I mean, there's been so much.
No worries. I was actually thinking, I probably need to put reminder on my phone probably the next 2 years and say, oh, catch up with Chris and do another episode podcast and see how we go.
That's it. I mean, I'm going to encourage everyone to to go over to your socials and follow along. And but yeah, I think that would be really, really good to be able to check in a period of time and see where you're at. And there's no right or wrong result, because no matter where you are and what you're doing, it will be the right thing you're doing at that point in time. So I'll keep you honest to that.
Yeah.
So one thing then, before we finish, we've covered so much, but what would be one thing that you would want to leave with the listeners? If it was one thing that they were to take away from this, what would you want them to take away?
I would say, just believe in yourself and always set a goal, no matter a small or big, and just take step further every single day to reach that goal. For example, your goal might be, I want to, for example, I want to just, launch that podcast, for example, and what's take you to launch that podcast. Or your goal might be, I want to just get up and go to the gym. It's just a little tiny thing that's very important to us every single day, where I feel like most of people tend to forget what they actually want to do. They kind of like, as again, come back to your say, people focus on the big goal rather than just focus a small one, just a little tiny one as well. Like, if you want to read your goal, just take one step, little tiny bit, and I think that's the thing. And also do your best every day and forgive yourself whatever it is, and just do your best and enjoy. Be happy, because life is too short. If you know that, just do your best and just enjoy your life every day.
That's it. Be kind.
And be kind, of course, and keep smiling, and be kind to each other and everyone.
No,
Keep smiling to people on the train and everyone, really. And because I love that, like, especially when we are runner and when we run past to someone and they day giving me a smile. I was like, oh my gosh, this was just so beautiful.
That's
I
it.
don't know if anyone look at that and go like, I feel so much better.
That's it. And it is, it's those simple things. And I think I would agree when, we've spoken about a lot, and that's just it. Sometimes we do have those big goals, but understanding that those goals come with smaller goals and come with smaller steps, and to focus on the smaller steps. Don't try and focus on the big thing, because the big thing is what's scary and what makes us feel uncomfortable and makes us scared, and maybe makes us feel fearful. But as you said, if we can find the smaller things to enable us to take that little step further and to be our best selves each day, then you will
Yeah.
get there. And no, that's a really great way
And
to.
I also probably would like to add one quick thing, and I would say like stay in your lane as well, stay in your pace. Don't compare yourself to anyone as a startup perspective where I jump into Instagram or look at, successful business where I kind of like, oh, I've got imposter syndrome because I'm start comparing myself. And, you are listening right now, just enjoy your own pace, be your own journey, and just own your story.
That's it. Well said. Well said. So with that then, so where is the best place for people to follow along? Is it just on your website? Is it your Instagram? Where would people go to follow you?
I spend a lot of time on Instagram, so follow me at thekinddesign.co on Instagram, or jump into my website www.thekinddesign.co as well. So I sometimes on Facebook as well, and the same, just searching the Kind Design. If you want to go for a run, send me a DM, or would love to chit chat and connect with me. I'm very happy to have a chat, have a cup of coffee or tea.
That's it. That's awesome. No, thank
Or even wine. So
yes, yes.
if you feel like a glass of wine, yelled out, I'll be there.
Oh wow, there you go. No, thank you so much. This has been really, really great, and it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on here. And we've covered so much, and it's been a lot to probably digest. And I think there'll be lots here that people can take away in their own ways, and it won't be everything for everyone. But I know there's small nuggets here, and even for myself, it just keeps me in check and keeps me honest. So thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for having me, Chris. And yeah, all the best, everyone.
Well, there you go, folks. What a wonderful episode. And I just want to say another big thank you to May for coming on and being part of this, because once again, I want to say that what has really inspired me is the way she goes about getting her work done. Is she's very busy, she's very self-driven, and she's very motivated, and I love that hustle. But most of all is she's spreading so much kindness as she does it. She's not just all about that in her business, but just in life. And she's very transparent and authentic about building something and creating something, because it is no easy feat. And if you haven't checked out our socials, go over to her socials, go check them out, because she's always sharing a journey, she's always sharing a quote, she's always trying to encourage and trying to inspire. And that's been encouraging for myself, just because building out this podcast and other things prior to this. And it's just nice to be able to have that conversation with someone that's on the same playing ground, but also to be encouraged, and I'm inspired by what she's doing. So go check it out. Of course, we do have all the show notes. Jump around, have a look back, and see what maybe there was something there that stood out to you and you didn't quite capture it. Go back, have a listen, have a look. Of course, we are on the YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts. So if you haven't checked it out on either one of those, maybe on Apple Podcasts you can leave a review. On the YouTube you can subscribe, you can comment and let us know as well. So yeah, really do appreciate you being here and listening. It's a great honor of mine to be able to bring these conversations and being that bridging person between you and obviously the individual or the guests that I have on the podcast. So really do appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you do it again very, very soon. Next episode next week, same time, 9 a.m. every Sunday. Get excited. My name's Chris Furlong. I am the host of the Further Your Lifestyle podcast, and thank you for tuning in.